silkies. That's a term of endearment from the Marine Corps because I believe it's something different in the Army.
Ranger panties?
Yeah, Ranger panties. But to be fair, until I started hanging out with Marines regularly a couple of years ago.
Like when you married one?
Well, no, even before that. Well, hello and welcome to the show, everybody. We are the Geek Battalion. We are two veterans and a cop that love pop culture stuff. We go hard on... we go deep.
Highly appropriate, adult themes. Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
We like to talk about pop
There we
culture
go.
stuff.
Yeah.
Movies, TV shows.
Comics, video games, and we just like to, chit chat. I'm joined by two of my best friends here. I've on my left,
I'm B.
and in front of me,
I'm on the right because I'm your right hand.
yeah,
I'm Duncan.
I know what he does with his right hand. That's fine.
and true to that, my name is Jimmy. But yeah,
I regret all of
We
this.
have
yeah.
derailed.
Oh man, this is a classic intro. These three fucks. Come on, guys.
Little peek behind the curtain. It's fucking 11:30 at night, and we're just getting started. So
Yeah.
I'm
cut us some
nocturnal. I'm
slack.
fine. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
Yeah, but on a serious note,
Y'all.
we do this as a way to combat,
Just the crushing defeat that is life. How about that?
yeah.
yeah.
I think I said the other day
stresses
the
of the
untold
world.
horrors of the human experience.
Yeah, we have fun with
Yeah,
it.
I'm not that smart, so I'm
just-
yeah. But well put.
We're here now to be your source of news, but we bring you news. So speaking of, let's get into the sit rep.
These nuts.
Going with a classic. Yeah, I need to queue up some other ones, but yeah, D's nuts.
These things take time.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, so the sit rep. One of you guys want to take what it is?
Yeah, the sit rep for those of you who may be listening for the first time, and if so, welcome.
Yeah, we're
the
off to a great start.
Yeah, this is
You're
not
welcome.
how it normally is. It's usually worse.
It's way worse.
We are professionals here, gentlemen.
Sit
Come on.
rep is where we talk about what we've been doing for the last week or ever since we last recorded. So you'll hear about what we've been watching or reading or just our life in general and what's been going on with us. And sometimes we squeak some news in there or some serious stuff. But yeah, let's get it going.
Yeah. Who
I can
who's
kick
gonna
it
take
off.
Yeah, let's hear it, Duncan.
I only got a couple things. I mentioned last time that I wanted to play some God of War, so got back into playing some God of War. Been fun. Really enjoying it, and the kids like watching it. I don't know if that's good parenting or bad parenting.
I
but,
did the same, so I'm
I don't
pretty sure
care.
it's okay.
If they want to run around and pretend like they're cutting dudes in half with a Leviathan axe, I'm into it. So
I will make him an axe.
yeah,
Yeah.
get on it.
Yeah.
And then I actually finished a rewatch of Breaking Bad with my wife. She had
hell yes.
never seen
I
it,
love
and we
Breaking
had
Bad.
been about maybe 3/4 of the way through. And we just kind of, just stuff got in between, and we just never finished it. So we finished it. Fuck, man, it's so good.
It's so
It is
great.
amazing. And then we watched the follow-up movie El Camino, where you get to see the resolution of Jesse's story. Also good. I forgot how different everybody looks though in that, and it kind of throws you out of it
Right.
sometimes.
well,
but
yeah, because it was 5 years
I know,
after.
but it's still
yeah.
like, man, Todd got fat.
yeah.
Anyway,
he did.
that also reminds me that I think it was September 7th
Oh, that's
was
right.
Walter White's birthday.
Oh, yeah. I
he
did
would have been
see that, yeah.
65. So I released a just a quick little Geek Battalion design in the style of the Breaking Bad logo. So if you're interested in anything like that or any other merch that we may or may not have, we definitely have. It's at geekbattalionvets.threadless.com. We've got a ton of different designs. We are all wearing different designs right now. I've got a Spider-Verse design on. Jimmy is wearing one of our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle designs. And B is wearing what I have affectionately called That New, and it is our relatively new logo with some amazing custom art from at Franzastic on Instagram. It's the three little characters that are your three fucks here.
Yeah.
And we've got a bunch of other cool stuff. We've also got some Ahsoka merch that's in the works. And I'm working hard to get that, perfected and put out for you guys. But as all three of us have seen it, I think some of it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for it to get.
I mean, I might be a little partial here, but I fucking love all the merch.
And so good.
I wish I had $1 million and I would just buy all the merch.
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, we do not get it for free. So,
Yeah.
But if you want to, you want to get something because you like the show or you want to support what we're doing here because we occasionally make you laugh or don't piss you off enough to turn it off. That would be
or
great.
you get mad enough and write in and tell us that Jimmy's a cunt.
Yeah.
Any of those things are okay.
It would help a lot.
Yeah.
So.
I take it in stride. I like.
He's a good sport.
It. Yeah.
He's a good sport.
Yeah.
Last thing is I watched the most recent Disney. I think it's a Disney Pixar movie, Elemental, with the wife and kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a fine kids movie, but it is absolutely basic. So
Yeah.
if you need an hour and a half, 2 hours to distract your kids from the untold horrors of the human experience or something. Don't let them listen to this, but you could play Elemental.
Let them wear our merch.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not safe for kids.
Versions of the merch if you're,
My son is a walking billboard, okay?
Yeah.
So that's what I got. Who's up?
Caveat off of your Breaking Bad thing. I recently saw in an article that it was voted as the best series of all time.
Oh, really?
I have a hard time
to argue
disagreeing with that.
Yeah, they had a top 100 series, and that was voted as number one.
That's why I still haven't watched Better Call Saul, because I'm just not ready yet. And it's been,
Better Call Saul was on there. I think it was around 45.
That's a big drop off.
Well,
it's of all time.
Of all time,
sure.
It's still good. And
Bob Odenkirk's amazing.
Yeah, I just finished.
You have to put that. You have to put that out if you find it somewhere.
Yeah, I'll find that link again. And,
I'll throw it up on the socials if you find it.
But Better Call Saul, I loved the ending of it.
I have not. Haven't finished it. Don't do it to us.
Start it.
Okay,
do it to us.
It's.
We'll all fight in the studio.
I'll just say it does it justice.
Pays off.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but so did you have something you wanted to go on? Okay, yeah. I'll just continue on since I got the mic
I know
here.
you guys won't shut up about. So
yeah. Okay. Let's see.
You're gonna talk to me, complaining.
Most people do.
Keeping with the video game stuff, I seem to be the one that mostly talks about video games here. Baldur's Gate 3, the D&D console game, PC console game.
Yeah.
It has topped. As of the most recent sales that I can see is 5.2 million in sales. So not too bad showing for them. With a 540,000 top concurrent players. So that's pretty cool. My wife is currently playing it, and a little feature that I thought was hilarious that she was telling me about the other day was you can actually the detail and customization is really amazing. So yeah, you can actually choose your own style of dick and vagina.
Yeah, you can choose your genitals, and there's several different options from how your pubes are shaped and all that. So
Yeah, and apparently the game is
Can you get smaller ones for less credits, or how does it work?
Yeah, you can get a chode for real cheap.
Yeah, I didn't go into the specifics, but apparently the game is super sexual too.
Yeah.
You don't say.
There's apparently I saw when it first came out, and people didn't know that because that wasn't something they necessarily advertised. That there's Twitch streamers who are going through this, and they're like, oh, let's go to the next customization, and like click, and then there's just nudity on their screen, and they're like, oh fuck, like,
Big
I'm
old
gonna get
dude
banned.
dick. Yeah.
I'm gonna get banned.
Yeah.
That brings up a fascinating question. What's the most visually preferred vagina, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe they'll release some stats. They've been releasing a bunch of different stats about, how many hours you spend fighting this boss, or who kills this guy the right way, and whatever. Like, maybe they'll release like what genitals have been picked.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we're verging into dangerous territory. So,
so much for getting to the topic tonight. We're going to talk about CGI genitals.
Yeah, something else interesting that she mentioned was she feels disappointed in herself because she thought she had her own original thought, but apparently this is a thing with a lot of other female players. There's a particular character that is a vampire and kind of like the baddie. Or like not the baddie, but like the bad boy character.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh well, I'm gonna see if I can't like turn him good, And then there's this very
all these women out there
atypical
trying to save him.
Yeah, there's this very atypical, like very good looking Prince Charming kind of guy, and she's like, I fucking hate this dude. Yeah, so she always leaves him at the back at the base, not in the party. But apparently that is like a very common thread with other female players. So she was commiserating to me last night about that, and she's like, "I feel like very ashamed of myself because I didn't have the original."
I don't
want to
bring up like the power and control wheel, but
Y'all
it's
basic.
that's some weird shit, right?
Yeah, basic.
But I was like, so what is it? There's got to be like some kind of like psychological or some kind of experiment or test that they did to like see what is like.
I'm
going
just
on.
saying, we are verging into very dangerous territory. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so moving on. Blue Beetle.
Our two female listeners are going to be
Yeah.
pissed.
I keep bringing up Blue Beetle just because it's the film that
That
I
movie
want.
you haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but it's a film that I want to do well, and it is actually doing well.
Why?
Yeah, why do you care?
Because I have
It's a
such
dead
I have
universe.
such a
Cholo
connection
Maraduena?
with Cholo Maraduena from Cobra Kai. As I mentioned previously, I loved Cobra Kai. I thought that was a fantastic series up to a point. Like season 4 and onward got a little ridiculous.
Guys,
but-
I'll make a #1 fan of the Cholo Maraduena fan club shirt if you guys all vote for it. So
Yeah,
send that
I
in.
feel like that's something that everybody's going to gang up on me about, and so that's probably going to happen.
Rightfully so.
But more to the point, it has topped 110 million worldwide, so it is officially successful.
What was the budget?
Moving on.
Officially
Good work.
successful.
The type of research you can expect from our show.
That's
let me look that up.
100 million is Marvel or MCU pocket.
I bet
length,
it's about
okay?
150, if they're being honest. Minimum.
Not counting promotions.
Not counting promotions, which, to be fair, they didn't do much of for this movie until recently. But generally, for a movie, you can say you double the production budget for the marketing budget, and that's the true cost.
Apparently, reports show approximately 104 million. So 104 to 120. So, okay.
It's breaking
Yeah.
even, basically.
Maybe. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, one says it was 70 million.
I can't wait to watch it on Max in the comfort of my own home. But
Yeah, you can't trust the internet for anything. Fuck me, I don't know anything.
Or us. Anyway.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Jimby?
Nope, that's it.
So because I'm such a great, father figure and parent, I introduced my two oldest boys to Coming to America.
That is not what I expected. What?
It's an all-time classic.
I'm not saying it's not good. I just didn't expect it. That was not what I expected to come out of your mouth.
Lines from that movie on the daily. I mean, there's so many that I can't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Oh,
How
God.
did you explain the hot tub scene?
You mean the very beginning?
Yeah.
I don't think I really need to. I said close your eyes real quick, but then the very next line they just busted out laughing, and I said you could never repeat that again. But yeah, so
Okay.
they also thought it was funny that he wasn't allowed to wipe his own ass. So which it is kind of funny, but that'd be $8.
Yeah. Did you watch Coming to America 2?
I did, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I didn't
thought
think it was that bad.
I thought it was
It was
terrible.
way better than I expected, but
I did not watch that one.
it was all right. It was all right. But anyways, the big one that you've all been waiting for. I finally took the kids to see TMNT Mutant Mayhem.
Finally.
Yeah, it's only a month past. We can finally talk about it.
Investigation.
Oh, wow. That's harsh.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's pretty good. The one thing that kind of surprised me, I've never been a huge Mikey guy, especially when we did our episode a while back about, I talked a little bit about the Nickelodeon series from like 2012.
Yeah.
And he's very much like the party dude. And completely different take on Mikey.
I don't know if it's completely different. I think it's a more modern take on Mikey. Like what
Maybe, but I felt like
teenagers today would be
very
like.
subdued compared to what we've seen in the past. And I was surprised that I didn't like that as much. Like, because how annoyed I was most of the time with the old Mikey.
Yeah.
That I thought this one would be more in line with.
I just don't think it's reflective of a modern teenager to be like tubular, like in just that type of like
know.
weird,
That's true.
weird party dude.
Could be off his meds.
Like
I
he's
don't know.
he's into nerd shit and he's a little bit of a
But
geek. So
I loved the Ralph growing up the fat kid take. Did I say Ralph?
Yeah, you said
Holy
Ralph.
shit.
Yeah, Raph.
Well, I just read what I wrote, and I wrote Ralph. So Raph.
autocorrect there, I'll get you.
Raph, the fat kid, that cracked me up. And I think my favorite character out of the show, I wrote this down before I figured out who voiced him, but Ray Fillet made me laugh my ass off every time he said
Which one was he
something.
again? I'm
He's
trying to
the
remember.
Manta Ray.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Ray Fillet!
Yeah.
Like every time.
Yeah.
It's Post Malone.
Yeah.
And I
Post
was
Malone.
like, God damn it.
You know,
That's
speaking
just
of
me
Post
being
Malone,
the
he's
get
like
off my
done like a
lawn
complete
guy.
180. Like he's like swore off drugs and alcohol.
He's allegedly sober, but he also
Yeah.
looks like he's on meth. So
Yeah.
That's probably just like carryover.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's going to be hard to bounce back from that, I think. But
yeah. But back to TMNT.
Yeah. Great soundtrack. I really
love
enjoyed
it.
the soundtrack.
very New York.
Can I kick it?
Like, how many of those songs can you actually play in front of your kids, though?
Yeah, I
like,
know,
there's
right?
a lot of.
Yeah.
There's some Mobb Deep. There's some Wu Tang.
Yeah.
There's some.
There's some-
I
there's-
loved it.
Great shit in there. Like
Yeah.
I was fucking dancing along the whole time in the movie. My wife was laughing at me.
Yeah,
the only one I
think
don't want to play is like Four Non Blondes. So like,
I think the whole take on the movie was good. They definitely modernized it, brought it up to today. I like the idea of them yearning and wanting to be part of society. I thought that was a cool take on it. Much more so than what they did in the comics and the TV show. I think in the older versions of it, they just accepted that that's who they were. I mean, they did go up into the city sometimes, but I don't think they ever wanted to like integrate openly. It didn't feel
I
like.
don't know.
in the Nickelodeon series I talked about, they definitely did. And there was Donnie, who was the one that was in love with April in that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Raph in this one, right?
No, it was Leo.
It was Leo. in
Oh
this
yeah,
one.
that's right. Yeah, Leo. Yeah, he wanted to date her.
I was surprised with like the big names that they got for the cast that they
Have
had
such
such
little roles.
minute roles.
Yeah.
Like John Cena.
and
If
Paul
I-
Rudd and
Well, Paul Rudd like stood out.
Yeah.
John Cena, if you wouldn't have told me that was him, I would
Yeah.
have never guessed it.
yeah.
And Seth Rogen, his very distinctive voice could go unmissed.
Really,
Like,
I
I think he could have because
Yeah,
he just didn't have so many. He didn't have very
Couldn't
many
miss it.
lines.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
I
didn't do his crazy weird laugh.
I loved Ice Cube. I thought he was great. I didn't.
God, which song did he directly quote?
I know what you're talking about.
God damn it, I can't remember either. But
God, was it Today Was a Good Day? Was it?
it's my inclination, but I don't think it was. But I
don't
could.
think it was.
I
either.
feel like that was the line. It was something about today.
Yeah,
was a good day.
It's the first time.
Dang
I think
it.
it's like the first time we see him. He
Yeah.
like steps out of the shadows, and then we realize he's actually a giant fly monster.
Yeah. But
The story was kind of predictable. Like you kind of you could kind of guess where it was
Yeah,
going
it's
to
a
go.
very basic
Yeah.
plot.
But Can we do spoilers? Are we doing spoilers here?
I think we can do spoilers.
Yeah, it's been a month. Yeah.
Spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. So again, spoilers here. I hated the new backstory for the turtles.
I didn't hate it.
And
I did not. It was the weakest part of the movie for me. The idea that Splinter.
I didn't like Splinter.
I liked Jackie Chan.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was great, and I liked that he's more of a father figure in this, whereas before he's like, in pretty much everything we've seen, he's far more sensei first, father figure second, and they love and respect him, but it's kind of like they also kind of fear him because he's been the right hand of justice their whole life.
Right.
But in this, he's very much a dad, and he's very much, like concerned about his kids' welfare and like shutting them in for that purpose, and doesn't realize that he needs to let them stretch their legs a little bit. But also the fact that they aren't just like getting their asses kicked because they learned all of their martial arts, quote unquote, off of YouTube videos.
Yeah,
in the
that
sewer
was
from
about the same way I did.
From
Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah,
and,
like
well, I mean, Mr. Miyagi would be like, "Oh, you learned karate from a book, huh?"
yeah, exactly. I didn't like that. I like the idea of either, and it's all ridiculous because it's fictional turtles turning
it's a
into
talking rat.
It's stupid because it's fictional, like it's turtles getting mutated by ooze and shit like that. But I liked the idea of Splinter having some connection to ninjutsu prior.
Yeah, I did too.
And that being why he can actually justify teaching the this is just like I got like somebody threw something at me in the streets, and so I was like, I'm gonna go watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Like this is like the Smoking Aces kid.
Yeah,
like,
there's no connection to Shredder. Then now Shredder's just a random big
now
bad.
Shredder's just a random dude, and there's no clan warfare, like thousands of years of.
You think about it too, though. But is that any worse than a rat in a cage learning ninjutsu by watching his master?
Like I said, at least like the ooze, mutates him and makes him smarter and allows him to translate his experiences there into actual skill.
There's some kind of
actually
precedent
show him in the
for
cage.
Well, in the original live action, I
and
mean,
there's also interpretations where he's a human. He is Hamato, and he's transformed into a rat. Which either way, I'm fine with either one of those.
Yeah, I think that one makes more sense.
I just didn't like that he had zero connection to ninjutsu, and then he's just like training them and like finding these weapons and being and it's just
that being said, Jackie Chan was hilarious.
He was great. He did great with the voice acting.
I liked him being like the helicopter dad.
Yes. And like putting up the cardboard cutouts and trying to like
this is the best, Chris. You can't go to the
you can't go to the human world, but I can bring the human world to you. Like that sort of shit.
Which I love the connection because one of the Chris's of the cardboard cutouts was Chris Evans, and he voiced Casey Jones in the TMNT movie.
Yeah.
Which I love that. So and then my favorite Splinter moment of the whole movie was when he was talking about his best friend Kevin, and then somebody just steps on it, a cockroach.
Oh yeah,
that part cracked me up. But,
and then he ate Kevin or whatever he says. But
then I ate Kevin.
I wasn't, and I also wasn't a big fan of Splinter like hooking up with the weird
other cockroach,
nonverbal mutant.
Yeah, that was weird.
I didn't care. Like I don't get how they said he was gay though, because like.
Oh, I don't.
That was a big internet thing.
That's just fucking incels on the internet.
They called the cockroach a she multiple times. I don't know that it matters.
I don't think any of it matters. But I did like that the turtles were
totally
just disgusted by it the whole time. They're just like, oh, Dad.
I mean, it could be another rat, and they'd still be like,
which
gross,
is like
that's like typical teen. Like oh god,
you kiss your wife in front of your kids, and like, God,
get a room. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I liked it.
I enjoyed the animation style too.
Yeah, I liked
that it felt like, and I could not, but I liked that it felt like it was something I could draw. Like you could see, like it wasn't perfectly colored in, and there was like when they drew a circle, it wasn't
outside
like
the lines.
It wasn't like they made a perfect circle. It was like if I just drew a real quick circle and that was the moon, and then they filled it in, and like it looked very like, I think I read somewhere that they wanted it to look like teenagers were animating it or drew it like the turtles would.
I liked it. I liked it.
And I liked it. It's not Spider-Verse.
No.
And it's different. But it was good. I liked it. It was refreshing, and it was a different take.
The other thing I liked was, as much as I hated the way they learned their skills, I loved the part where the first fight they get into and they just kick everyone's ass. I'm like, holy shit, we're good at this.
I was gonna say they aren't sure if they can actually kick everyone's ass because all they've ever done is play Fruit Ninja on the roof with watermelons and shit. Like, and then they actually have to fight, and Raph is like, I've been fucking dreaming about this. Like, yeah, that was pretty
stealing
great.
protein powder. Like that was
Yeah, I did like that scene too, where they were breaking into the grocery store. And stealing
no,
shit.
it's fun. Like you said it before, but the kids that voiced the turtles had a great connection, and they really came off as brothers.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I liked the a little more timid Donnie too. Like he's just a total nerd, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I liked kind of the twist of like Leo is trying real hard to be the leader, and instead of like everyone being like, okay, Leo, like Leo's the leader, everyone be like, fuck off, nerd. Like, what? You're a fucking dork. Okay, Batman. Like,
I mean, in pretty much all of them, it's that same story of Leo trying to take the mantle, but everybody's just kind of like, fuck off. But in a different way.
They're not quite as like openly disrespectful.
Right.
Like they eventually will be like, I don't like this plan, and why do we have to do what you say? But usually they're like, they listen to Leo because he's been a proven leader.
Most of the time when they get in the shit, they all turn to him and look,
Leo,
even though they don't want to, but they're like, lead.
Yeah, I mean, that plays into the live action, the original. Here we go, another great plan for my great leader, Leo.
Yep.
And Leo's like, I never said I was your leader. And then that's when Raph and him storm off. But
it's worth the watch. I think I got into the theater just in time for it to come on streaming here.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure
it
it comes to streaming very soon, or at least digital release where you can purchase it.
Right.
Or rent it.
One final question about it, though. How did Donnie get braces?
I thought about that too. I was like, so
Was
Splinter
it Donnie
also
that had the braces or Mikey?
Also watched some YouTube I don't know which one, but I thought it was Donnie.
But Donnie had glasses.
Yeah, like,
Is there
okay,
a
whose
turtle
prescription is that?
optometrist?
Which, at least that you could like argue he dug through the trash and
Right.
like a fucking
But braces is a
optometrist. But
thing.
braces is like, how did Splinter manage this?
I mean, I know there's YouTube University, but I don't know if there's
Yeah,
braces.
where do you find the material to just throw that on? And why does it matter? Splinter didn't fix his teeth, so...
September 1st, it came to digital
so
release.
it's already out?
Yeah,
Shit.
you can buy it or rent it. It looks like on Amazon or Google or YouTube or Apple or whatever. So
yeah. So I knew you guys would be happy about that.
Yeah.
Sorry it took me so long, but
I would
damn
also watch a
school
sequel.
started.
So I think I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I thought
enjoyed
it
it.
set up a lot of really cool things.
I think my favorite movie is the original, the 1990.
I think so too. But I'm not as fired up as most on the internet, but it was weird to have Bebop and Rocksteady
turn good guys.
Turn
on
good
the
guys. Yeah, I
didn't
can't
care
get
about
behind that. Yeah.
Like,
it was just
eventually
weird.
yeah.
But
Yeah, they're forever bad guys in my head.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
There's a comic where they smash Donatello's head in with a sledgehammer and kill him.
Oh,
like,
wow. Is that like Last Ronin?
It's like not canon. It's like a different, but they brutally murder Donatello.
Jesus.
It's pretty fucking crazy. So, but
And did John Cena even have like a Russian accent?
no, I don't think so. I think it was just John Cena.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But
There's some unique liberties that the cast took with their characters for the
I didn't have
mutants.
any major issues with any of it. So
Leatherhead, I was kind of confused by
that she was a she.
yeah, and like a gator,
Yeah, not an alligator,
not a crocodile,
not a crocodile.
but has an Australian accent.
Yeah, but also tries to give everyone a bloomin' onion, which is a distinctly American
an
thing.
Outback.
Yeah, Outback Steakhouse
That's
thing.
hilarious.
I did like the salamander and Mikey having a connection. That was pretty funny.
That's Mondo Gecko.
Yeah,
right?
Mondo Gecko.
Okay,
yeah,
the gecko.
Paul
He's
Ritzker.
he's a Gecko Gecko. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun little connection.
I don't know if you've heard this, but the first human to reach out to Splinter for help is actually Kevin Eastman.
Yeah.
So one of the creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Kevin Eastman, and then I think Laird maybe has a cameo in it too.
Maybe
briefly.
both of their names are used as Eastman is the high school, and then I think the Laird is like a hotel or a restaurant early on in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. Is it time to get to the meat and potatoes here?
Yeah.
It's the formation.
Let's
All
get
right,
to it.
fire it up, Winger.
Fall in.
You fall out in that street or I'm gonna kick your ass right off this fucking planet.
All right.
Oh, jinx.
So this is Jimmy's pick here.
Yeah.
Fired off there.
All right, yeah, so we are at the formation. This is the meat and potatoes of the episode. This is where we do a deep dive into our topic. And so for this week's topic, I chose a classic movie that we had discussed previously, possibly doing, but this movie is near and dear to my heart, is one of my favorites. And the movie is Memento. It was released in the year 2000. In the year 2000. Call back to Conan.
What the fuck just happened?
Have you seen that Conan bit?
Let's pretend like I have and just move on.
Anyway, so released in the year 2000, it stars Guy Pearce as the main character, known as Leonard Shelby. He's a man with short-term memory loss seeking revenge for his wife's murder. That's kind of like the quick
That's the
quick
real quick
synopsis.
synopsis
Yeah, it's
there.
very quick.
But there is a lot more to this movie
Yes.
than meets the eye.
I can't think of another example where how do I want to say it? It's not really a cinematography kind of thing, but storytelling kind of a thing where
Yeah, what really makes this movie unique is the way that it is portrayed. It's portrayed in reverse order. So,
Well, there's
and
two-
simultaneously.
and simultaneously in chronological, but the meat of the movie is played backwards. Well, not backwards, but played.
we start with scene 10 and we go 9, 8, 7,
Yeah.
6.
but at the
and so
same
on and so
time
forth.
we get is it the black and white
The
that
black
goes
and white
forward?
Yeah,
moves
black and white goes forward.
chronologically, and
Right.
the color scenes move in reverse chronological order.
So
Just real quick, let's get it out there. This was directed by Christopher Nolan,
Yeah.
written by Christopher Nolan and his brother Jonathan Nolan.
Originally titled Memento Mori.
Well, so Jonathan Nolan's story, he had an idea for this as a short story, and he told his brother Chris about it, and his brother was like, well, this would make a great movie, and so they started working on the screenplay, and then the movie ended up getting released before the short story, but the short story is still called Memento Mori, and it came out in 2001 after the movie came out. Also, if you're interested in watching this, it's free to watch on Amazon Prime and YouTube, actually. So,
Oh, really?
YouTube movies, not like a pirated version on YouTube. It's actually like from YouTube. So,
nice.
as we talked about in our last episode, Rotten Tomatoes is bullshit, but it has a 93% critics and 94%
That's gotta
audience,
be one of the higher ones, right?
audience rating there. So, yeah. How do we want to approach this?
I don't know. This doesn't really set up well for our normal format. I don't.
yeah,
think,
it's a darker movie, so it's kind of hard to like make light of it like we normally do.
So-
but
Yeah. There's
You said
no
that-
great quotes either. Like
You said that this is one of your favorite movies.
Yes.
This is I own like the special edition DVD. Like I used to watch this movie all the fucking time. Like I love this movie. This is
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorites. So I'm gonna beat the shit out of B if he tells me he doesn't like it. But
buckle up.
So I guess
But-
we'll start with the cast.
Yes, that's a good place to go.
It doesn't have a huge cast, but
No.
it has some really good heavy hitters in it.
yeah,
So we're going to start off with Carrie Ann Moss. She's playing Natalie.
yeah, right after The Matrix.
Also,
yeah.
maybe the best I've seen her look in a lot of things. Like she was gorgeous in this.
Yeah,
I
she
thought.
looked great.
Yeah, and it was definitely a very 180 turn from
Trinity.
from Trinity.
who I will not smile.
Yeah, and then along with Joe Pantoliano.
Joey Pants. Just Joey Pants.
Joe Pantoliano.
That's the one.
Also from The Matrix.
Yeah, also from The
true.
Matrix. Yeah, so
I
they're
didn't
riding
think
their
about that,
Matrix
yeah.
high, coming off from 1999.
Yep.
But he played Officer John Gamble, aka Teddy. And then we have notable appearances by Georgia Fox of CSI fame. We have Stephen Tobolowsky, who is best known as Ned Ryerson in Groundhog Day. He plays Sammy Jenkins, who becomes a very pivotal backstory.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. And then we have Caleb Keith Rennie as Dodd.
So, because you just mentioned those two, I pointed out in my notes that those two were also together in the series Californication that I've
Yes.
talked about before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And critical roles in that show.
It's a great show.
The Sammy character is a movie producer with a massive hog. I don't know how else to put it, but and he, doesn't hesitate to bring that up every second he can.
Yeah.
And then Dodd is this like Ozzy Osbourne, like
rock star type.
just like the king of the metal band's 80s rock star guy, and he hires Hank Moody, David Duchovny's character, to write a memoir for him.
Huh.
And then turns out that he goes on to be like Hank Moody's spirit animal throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. I thought it was cool to see both those guys in the same movie.
Yeah.
So sorry to steal your thunder.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're fine. Yeah. I actually couldn't find much on Caleb Keith Rennie. And then we had Larry Holden, who played Jimmy Grant, but he's best known for Finch in Batman Begins.
Oh no shit. That's like Oh no. I know who you're talking about.
Finch? Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah,
No,
Finch.
That's not his name.
No, it's I want to say it's not French. It's
Go ahead. You got it.
the suspense is killing me. Just spit it out.
Flass.
Flash. Yes, but
Detective Flass.
But he's also in The Mandalorian season 1 on the episode The Prisoner. He's the guy that Mando used to work with back in the day that sets up the deal to
Yeah.
brings in.
Wait, what actor's name did you say? Maybe we're talking about a different one.
Larry Holden.
Larry Holden?
It's not Larry
Oh,
Holden.
no. I'm talking about Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, because
Larry Holden's he's the guy that gets he gets
he's Jimmy.
Killed.
He's Jimmy Grant.
Oh, he's the DA in Batman Begins.
yeah,
Okay.
and his name was Finch.
Yes, you're right.
Aha.
I just immediately had...
Oh, the first
other guy in my
the
brain.
first DA, not the Harvey Dent in Begins.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's Jimmy Grant's, isn't he?
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's nice. Okay.
Okay, you were right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I tried to do some research on this, and I totally forgot about the guy you guys were talking about. I
Yep.
skipped over him.
Yeah. He's in The Mandalorian, so
Mark,
he's
Mark
all right with
Boone
me.
Jr. He plays
Also big
Bert,
in,
the motel clerk.
Yeah.
Big in Sons of Anarchy, I think.
Never seen it.
I
so
didn't watch
couldn't
it
tell you.
either, but I'm pretty sure he's a main character in that show.
Yeah, because you brought that up, and I was like, wait, but Larry Holden, he died in like 2011, so I don't know how he played in Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in The Mandalorian.
yeah,
He died, did he? Oh, I didn't know.
yeah. But yeah, so that is the
There's
cast.
also one more little cameo in there.
Oh.
We get Thomas Lennon. He plays the doctor
Yes.
that tested Sammy.
Lieutenant Dangle,
Lieutenant
baby.
Dangle from Reno 911. He also plays a doctor in The Dark Knight Rises.
He does.
The one who tells Bruce that he's
His
all
legs are
fucked
fucked.
up.
Yeah.
And then he gives him that brace that magically lets
Yeah,
him
he's
kick
gotta-
through shit. Or I don't think he gives that to him, but he tells him that like he has no cartilage left in his knee or whatever. But anyway, so the moral of the story there is Christopher Nolan likes his regular cast members, and he likes to reuse a lot of people there.
New
so.
boot goofing.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. This is the second major release by Christopher Nolan. His first one,
Following? Is that what it is?
The Following, yeah. So yeah, this
Following.
one came out in 2000.
Is that the
and then,
Marky Mark one?
No.
No.
Yeah, and then
what
he
am I
followed.
thinking of? The Happening.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I
happening.
was
Yeah.
thinking.
It's it's just called Following, and it's like another neo-noir type one. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good.
But yeah, then he followed this one up with Batman Begins.
yeah.
So yeah, and I just love this style, the way it's shot. That's what really drew me to it. But we'll get more into that later on here.
Let's maybe go into let's give like maybe a little bit more of a plot synopsis here so we can understand what's going on. But so the main character that Guy Pearce plays, like you said, name is Leonard Shelby, and he's a former insurance claims investigator who suffers from anterograde amnesia, which is the inability to create or store new memories. So he has short-term memory, but basically if he doesn't make a note or write it down, it just fades forever. It's gone. So
Gone.
he could be in the middle of a conversation and just all of a sudden it's gone, and he doesn't know how he got there, why he's there, or who he's talking to. He can only remember everything up to the incident that caused his brain damage, and that incident was his wife's rape and murder, during which Leonard was able to kill one suspect.
Yep.
And however, he was bashed in the head by another suspect who got away. So when we catch up with Leonard, without going into the chronological order of everything, but the crux of it, when we catch up with him, is that he's deep into tracking down the killer, the remaining suspect of his wife's rape and murder,
known as a John G.
Right, and he has a series of facts and notes that are tattooed on his body,
Yeah.
along with a bunch of Polaroids and notes that he uses to keep track of things.
Side note, I need to get one of those tattoos
Yeah,
on me
I've
someday.
thought about that
Okay.
before too.
Yeah.
If you do,
Wouldn't be my first tattoo, but I would kind of like one of those.
if you do, I highly recommend my fact number 7, which is take better notes. Could have solved a lot of problems there.
So we don't really see how he gets to know that these are the facts, but he's got about 7 of them tattooed on his body, and they include that the suspect's name is John G, first name John, last name G, or starts with a
or
G,
James.
or James possibly for
Yeah.
a first name, which is kind of your first clue that maybe he doesn't really know much.
Yeah, maybe, yeah,
like at
yeah.
all. Because when you first start watching this movie, you think like this guy's he's got his shit together. Like he is locked on and he has a handle on this condition. It's terrible for him, but he is really making the best of a bad situation.
Well, I mean, to kind of go back, the way the movie starts is with. Yeah. No.
Well, and we can get into that, but just to say, like it starts with us understanding that or seeing that like it seems that he has a really good hold on how to make the best of his situation, of his memory loss problem. And so I mean, just imagine not being able to remember every day you wake up and you think it's the day the last thing you remember is your wife dying. That's all that you can remember up to.
Yeah.
And somebody even asks him in the movie, Natalie asks him, what's the last thing you remember? And he says, my wife. She's like, oh, that's sweet. And he goes, dying. My wife dying.
Yeah.
And imagine that. And then every time you blank out, your memory fades, you think, where the fuck am I? What am I doing? Why am I dressed like this? What am I doing? So, and then, you catch he's basically used conditioning, because he's determined, and this is accurate from a scientific standpoint, according to a lot of critics scientific critics said that this is a very accurate exploration of this condition. But he uses conditioning to basically build habits to do things like look in the mirror or check his pockets for notes or Polaroids that he has to see, like, I'm interacting with a person right now and I just woke up in the middle of it, essentially. Do I know this person? Let me check my notes. Let me check my Polaroids. Oh, I have a picture of this person with their name and I have a note on the back that says this thing about them. So he's developed this sort of routine, which is the only way that he can really advance or learn as this investigation or his life moves forward, which ends up being kind of the whole problem for Leonard as we move forward.
That's a nice way to put it. Problem. Yeah.
But like you said, the opening of the movie, if you want to continue where you were
so
on
the opening of the movie starts with we're zoomed in on a Polaroid, and it's a Polaroid of a dude that just got his head blasted in.
Yeah.
And then, but you see them waving it, and I'm literally waving it because that's how we talk.
You shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, he's shaking
shaking it like a Polaroid picture, trying to get it to develop. But
yeah.
I'm trying to think picture, of but instead of the picture
where they're like, pain below, where they're yelling back at you. No, moment's gone.
But instead of the picture getting brighter, the picture is fading.
Yeah, like it.
So that's the first thing that you know, like, hey, this isn't normal. And then we see like the lead up to what happened. So we see Leonard Shelby talking with, and we get our first introduction of the character Teddy.
Yeah.
And Leonard leads him up into an abandoned building, and they have a conversation outside first. And he's like, "Hey, here's this truck. It's been here a couple days." And he's like, "What the fuck are you, Pocahontas?" You know. But then he leads him into the building. That's Teddy asking Leonard that. But he leads him into the building, and then. But just prior to that, Leonard had checked his notographs, and it said, he is the one, kill him.
Yeah, he has a picture of Teddy, and on the back it says, do not believe his lies. He is the one, kill him. So he's like, okay, well, I trust my system.
Yeah,
I trust everything that I've done going forward. I must have discovered that he's the one. I wouldn't remember if I did or not, so that's why I take these notes.
Yeah, part of that conditioning is he understands and remembers his handwriting.
Right.
He knows this is my handwriting.
Trust his own handwriting.
That is what I trust. So, so he leads him into this building. They have a quick exchanging of things. Teddy says, "You don't even know who the fuck you are," and he's like, "I'm Leonard Shelby. I'm from San Francisco." And he's like, "No, that's who you were. You don't even know who you are now.
What you've become.
What you become." And then Leonard says, "I want you to beg for my wife's forgiveness." And Teddy's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And then basically Leonard shoots him in the head and kills him.
Teddy has a brief moment of being like, "No, hold on." And just gets his head blown off.
Yeah, gets his head blown off. So that's how we start the movie.
I don't think I ever picked up on this before. But like, so that first scene, like you said, with the Polaroid is, you think we're seeing it in chronological or like it's moving forward, but the scene's actually moving in reverse. Not only is it the quote like last scene of the movie or like the climax of the movie that we see initially, but it's also moving in reverse. And what that is it's a representation. Not only does it show us that this is going to be a different style movie, but it's a representation of Leonard's memory, right?
Yeah.
He just, in his mind, he just got his revenge.
Yeah.
And it's already gone. It's already fading away. He had the picture, but it's already just drifting back to black, and he'll never know. And that foreshadows the entire problem of the movie as we move forward.
Yeah. But prior to that, he's been working with Teddy to gather information about potential suspects. So in his mind, what he believes leading up to this is that Teddy has been helping him. He knows kind of who Teddy is through his notes and everything. And, we'll go more into that, but...
Well, and the interesting part is like we only know as much as Leonard does, because
it's unfolding.
The scenes moving, the color scenes moving backwards. It's exactly like how his memory would work. We wake up in a situation with Leonard, and we're just like, okay, hi, what's going on? Like, who the fuck are you? Check my notes. Okay, you're Teddy. I know to trust that you're Teddy, and I know to trust whatever I have on you.
This is your phone number.
This is your phone number. And at some point I wrote, do not believe his lies on the back before I wrote the kill him part. So I initially have conversations with Teddy. I don't know how I was introduced to Teddy. I don't know. So as a consequence, we don't know how he was introduced to Teddy. We don't know how he got information from Teddy or why Teddy would even have access to this information. And that's part of how this whole mystery unfolds.
And that's what really drew me to this movie is as you progress, you're learning more about this and you're experiencing it just as he would. And so right from the get-go, I was just immediately hooked on it. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
I remember the first time I watched this, I immediately had to watch it again. I was like, I have to know like what I've
what did I
didn't
miss?
get about this. Like, I have this vague understanding of like, oh, this is what was happening. Let me go back and figure this out.
Yeah, the movie is so good that it's hard to like really do it scene by scene.
Yeah.
But you know, the next couple of scenes that happen, we eventually meet this character named Natalie.
Right.
Yeah. So we eventually meet Natalie, and then we find out, you know, hey, she's trying to help him, but then we find out
his initial note on Natalie that we see is she has also lost someone. She will help you out of pity. But kind of ominously, she has a first note that was on his Polaroid has been scratched out.
Yeah.
And because he trusts his system, he assumes, well, I scratched this out for good reason, and I have to trust my current handwriting and current notes. So yeah, I mean, it's,
but she's trifling.
Well, that's the best part about this movie is even when you don't know what's going on, like the first time you watch this, it builds the tension and the anxiety.
Does. Right. Yeah.
You don't know what's going on, but you know something is going on.
Yeah.
And you're not sure that you can trust anybody, but also they play it in a way that maybe you're just being paranoid. Maybe it's because of the nature of how it's put together that's why you don't. Like, I don't trust Teddy initially because I didn't trust him in The Matrix, but because
Cypher's a piece of shit.
Because Cypher's a piece of shit. But it's like, am I not trusting him because he's a piece of shit and he's up to something, or is it because I just don't know enough yet and I'm feeling that anxiety?
Yeah, like why shouldn't I believe his lies?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
what lies? Like what plays into that? You know, and then like there's this. I don't want to call it a throwaway line, but it's a line that they don't acknowledge too much, but it's more of it feels like somebody's trying to set you up to do something.
Yeah, that's what Teddy tells him, that he thinks Natalie, or he says, you know, the other day you told me that you think somebody's setting you up to kill the wrong guy. And, you know, what if she's doing that to you now? And he's like, you know, I don't act on, you know, suggestions. I act on facts. Like he goes into this whole tirade about how, you know, memory is unreliable. Eyewitness testimony is unreliable. Memory can change the shape of the room, the color of a shirt. It can change everything. But, you know, these facts that I rely on are the gold standard. Like
how right is he about eyewitness testimony? That is like one of the most fickle testimonies in the world. Yeah.
The part that I love about this movie, like I to get into some of the themes of it, like this movie is about like self-deception. Like it's about the lies we tell ourselves. It's about like how complex human nature is and how complex like human beings are and why we do things and you know what we do to soothe ourselves and to cope and to move on. Because part of Leonard's problem is he can never get closure because every time he wakes up, like I said, he wakes up moments after the death of his wife. He cannot move on because he can't feel the passage of time, which is another.
And he brings that up too. It's like
which is another Nolan theme too. You know, manipulation of time, and we see that with his other movies like Interstellar and Inception and things like that. So he's a big nerd on that sort of stuff. But
I love his line of "How long has it been? How can I grieve if I don't know how long it's been?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he claims, because he gives us a history, and this is where we maybe can get into the Sammy Jenkins story.
Okay,
But he gives us in that scene, he says, you know, I act on facts and all that sort of stuff. And he claims to act on facts and to be able to read people. But really, I mean, he's constantly being manipulated to and lied to throughout the movie, and he doesn't have a clue.
Right.
But either he does have, as we learn at the end, maybe he does have a clue and he's okay with it because it gives him a purpose.
Yeah.
Or he just has no idea and he truly is another victim of this whole situation. And Nolan kind of plays that as it's up for you to decide.
Yeah.
But so we've been talking about the scenes that move in reverse chronological order, the color scenes, but the black and white scenes are the ones that move chronologically from the actual beginning of the narrative. And it starts with Leonard in a hotel room answering the phone, and he's on the phone we can't hear the voice of the person on the other end. We don't know who it is. And he begins telling them the story of Sammy Jenkins, and because he sees a tattoo on his hand that says
"Remember Sammy Jenkins,"
Sammy
Which he's
Jenkins.
a very talented jailhouse tattoo artist, by the way.
Yeah, he's very talented
Very
self tattoo. He has his tattoos are a mixture of obviously professionally done ones and then ones that as he's doing in these chronological scenes using a needle and a ballpoint pen in a fucking hotel room. But he's telling them the story.
I mean, like the pain of like giving yourself a tattoo.
Yeah, like that
Gosh,
without even the DIY gun. He's just literally just
stabbing it
old
with
Japanese
a pin.
style.
Yeah.
in perfect cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, he tells this mysterious person on the phone the story of Sammy Jenkins. And Sammy
And
Jenkins.
so I guess we assume that the person on the phone is some kind of a police investigator. The way that he's talking to them.
I think we get to that, but I don't think at the beginning,
at the beginning
there's any
and
sort of
to like
hint.
the midway point. I don't know that I'm like, I think my first initial response was he was almost, because you go a long stretch where he's not having a conversation, he's just talking.
Yeah.
So my initial thought was, oh, maybe he figured out another strategy where he's leaving himself a voicemail or he's
Messages
leaving a
or something.
message
Oh,
on
yeah.
a machine. So
I never thought
but
of it
then
like
he
that,
starts actually interacting in the conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I always like, even when I first saw it, like, oh, this must be some kind of a police investigator. Like that was just like how my mind went.
Yeah. But he's telling this person the story of Sammy Jenkins, who we learn he will tell anybody about Sammy Jenkins because when Leonard was an insurance claims investigator, Sammy Jenkins was his first big case. And Sammy was basically somebody who went through the exact same thing he did or suffered the same trauma that he did to his brain. Sammy was in a minor car accident, but he never was the same afterwards. And his wife and he eventually filed an insurance claim that he couldn't make new memories, essentially. He had the same anterograde amnesia. He couldn't learn any new skills. He says that he didn't like watching TV because he would get lost in the episode and he liked commercials.
Yeah, commercials
were
yeah,
short and they entertained him. And so Leonard comes and he does his due diligence. It's his big case. He really wants to get into it and make a good impression. And he says every time he comes over to see Sammy, this guy's telling him, I don't know who you are. He's playing all the right cards, but every time he sees him, he sees a slight look of recognition.
Yeah, just
so he thinks he's full of shit. So he
yeah.
sends him to get tested.
And probably one of the most fucked up ways to get tested too. Yeah.
So he does his research, and like we said about conditioning, he finds out that conditioning is from a completely different pathway in your brain, and it's still a way that somebody with this condition could essentially learn to react on instinct, like Leonard has taught himself to instinctually check his notes in his pockets and things like that. So they send Sammy to meet with the doctor, Lieutenant Dangle. And basically the test is he has like 6 or 7 metal objects in front of him. They're different shapes, and he has to pick up 3 of them. And he's like, that's the fucking test? I got to pick up 3 objects? And he's like, yep. And so he picks up one, and at some point, some of them are electrified. Always the same ones, always electrified, the exact same ones, and he always keeps picking up the electrified one. He never learns
never
to avoid
deviates,
it. And every single time he also says, test this, you fucking quack, and flips the guy off, which is very funny. But
picks it up and he says, yeah, what kind of fucking test is this? Yeah.
So because he never learned through conditioning, which based on the research should be possible for somebody who has this physical type of brain damage, Leonard says, well, this must be psychological. Your coverage doesn't cover mental health problems. You're denied. And so the medical bills pile up. Sammy's wife is desperate. She starts like not feeding him, getting him to hide food around the house, and then stops feeding him to try and see if he'll instinctually find food when he's hungry. And then she goes to visit Leonard and asks him, I need your honest opinion, not the company's opinion, not anybody's. Like, do you think he's faking it? And he doesn't say he's faking it. He says, I believe Sammy should be able to physically make new memories. And she's like, okay, thank you. And she goes off and she gives Sammy what Leonard calls his final test.
Yeah.
And she's a diabetic. And for whatever reason, she has her husband give her shots,
because prior to the accident he was able to learn that skill, and so he had that skill learned.
Right. And it's a very complex thing to do for him, but because he learned it before the accident, it's perfectly capable for him to do. So she says, hey, you know, Sammy, it's time for my shot. He gets into the mode, he gives her the shot, and he sits back down, and then he forgets. And so she winds back her watch and says, hey, time for my shot.
Sammy
does it again.
It's time for my shot.
You can see the horror on her face that he's really never going to remember, and either she intentionally or unintentionally gets an insulin overdose and dies.
Yeah, she's trying to test him, like, how far are you really going to take this? If you're faking this,
if you love me, like, you won't kill me, you won't hurt me.
Yeah.
And she tries to break him of this, what she believes, because Leonard believes is a psychological condition, and it doesn't work, and she dies. And Sammy ends up in an institution.
Which when this story finally gets played out with the overdose, it's late in the game, it's late in the movie, and there's a great, like, Fight Club-esque little, just one frame that gets put in there, because the end of that story is Sammy gets put in a
he's in an asylum, essentially, in a home, because he can't.
Yeah, and like the sad thing is, like, he doesn't know why he's there.
Right. Yeah. And there's one somebody walks by.
Just before you get to that, what Leonard gets to is that he talks about how he thought Sammy was faking it, or wasn't really suffering from this condition because of that look of recognition. But now, having the same condition as Sammy, he realized that you just fake it.
Yeah, you just fake that recognition.
You don't want to make people feel bad. You don't want to feel bad yourself. You fake that recognition. And we see Leonard do that multiple times throughout the movie, and then be like, oh, I'm sorry, I have met you before. I didn't know. I have this condition. They're like, yeah, I fucking know. You've told me about this condition 100 times. Like, so we see that this is where you really realize Leonard is not, like, on top of this like we think. He's just faking it.
Yeah. He's getting played by it.
We say this in cop work all the time. Fake it till you make it. Like, act like you know what you're doing, and eventually you'll figure it out. But, like, he that's all he's doing. He's just faking it and pretending like he knows what's going on and that he's got all of this narrowed down. And the only reason that works for him is because he can't fucking remember that he doesn't, like, it's just become that instinct for him. And so it tells us, like, this, like I said, that some of the themes of, like, how complex human nature is, like, and from being a cop, and, like, you know, a lot of times we go into a situation and I'll be like, this dude's full of shit. Like, I can tell you because of X, Y, and Z. And not that I think, like, because somebody looked up and to the left or, like, held their breath or whatever, but just, like, I just don't trust. Something's weird. My gut tells me this. I've been to 1,000 of these, and normally this is how it goes, and normally this is how people act. But, like, human behavior and feelings and emotions are so nuanced and complex. Like, there's no possible way that a person like Leonard could exist in the real world and get away with this, in terms of, like they would need constant care, like Sammy is getting in the asylum.
Yeah.
And after we know this side of the Sammy Jenkins story, we get to a few scenes before where Leonard killed Teddy. And Leonard learns from Teddy or Teddy claims to Leonard that Sammy Jenkins is bullshit. Sammy Jenkins was a con man who didn't have a wife. Leonard's wife is the one who is diabetic. She survived the assault, but she couldn't cope with Leonard's injury. And she started hiding food from him, and she decided to give him the final test. And ultimately, it was Leonard that killed his wife. Right. And so the Fight Club-esque scene that B was talking about is in the asylum. Go ahead.
And it's where Sammy's sitting in a chair.
And he's faking it.
Just, staring off in the distance or whatever. And somebody walks across the screen, and you get this quick flash,
one or two frames
of Leonard, and then another person walks by, and it's back to Sammy, and it's a blink and you'll miss it moment. And I love that. That was so cool.
And the most interesting part about this is, like, nobody knows, and it's not like Christopher Nolan has an answer for you, and it's, art is very much interpreted in my opinion, by the person who's viewing the art. Like, we don't know if Teddy is telling Leonard this.
Yeah, is
to
this part of
further
his
manipulate him?
Is this part of his lies?
Or
Yeah,
because he doesn't give a fuck and he knows he's just gonna forget it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And we have this moment where, because he can remember things from before the incident, obviously, he has this memory. Leonard has this memory of being in bed with his wife while she's like brushing her hair, and she goes, ow, and looks down, and he's giving her a shot of insulin in her thigh. And then he's like, my wife wasn't diabetic. And he has the same memory, only this time her saying ow is her reacting to him just like lovingly pinching her
leg,
thigh.
yeah. And then it goes back into like, how accurate is your memory? What is right? What is real?
And it's exactly what Leonard said before. You know, memory can change the shape of a room, and like it can change the color of a shirt. Like he is claimed to be acting on facts and this ability to read people and this serious investigation this entire time, but he's no different than any one of us. Like, we let our emotions and our experiences, you know, color our perception. Like, what I have been through as a cop, what you have been through in the Army, what you've been through as a Marine, or any of our other life experiences very drastically color how we would look at a similar situation or the same set of even alleged facts in a situation. So what we learn is that, like, Leonard's not in control of any of this at any point in time.
Yeah, so that's a great backstory for Sammy Jenkins, which plays a huge part of the movie, but it's also like a very much a backstory, like just a backseat part. But so going back to the Natalie arc here, it's interesting because I feel conflicted, because in the end, she seems to almost care for Leonard and show some sense of compassion. But I think also she's a terrible person who uses Leonard.
She might be the worst person in the
But which is the end though? Like, I mean, it's like she's spitting in his drink, and
that's before. I mean, that's
that's when she first meets him, and she's like,
that's the first
she's
time
like,
she
she's
meets
calling
Leonard.
bullshit on his memory thing,
Right.
Yeah, and then. But then you see like he takes the sip of it, and then she's like, he goes to take another sip, and he's like, wait, no, this one's
hold on.
this one's dirty.
So the crux of the Natalie plot becomes important because Natalie this whole time is talking about her boyfriend Jimmy,
right?
And as we know, one of the facts is that the killer is John G. or possibly
or Jimmy
James G. And Jimmy is obviously a nickname for James. Jimothy, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Can I call you Jim?
Yeah.
Anyway. And so you kind of get that, like I said, that anxiety or that feeling that, like, oh,
he's
like,
onto something. Yeah.
Jimmy. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why he's with Natalie. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
She keeps bringing up Jimmy. And
and
Jimmy
then we find out that it's Jimmy Gantz.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait. So are we just following up on this
It's
lead?
James G. Yeah. Is she roped into this? And for some reason, it's like he knows that she can help him, so she goes to meet with him, or he goes to meet with her, and she has access to DMV records through a friend of a friend or something like that. And one of the other tattoos is it's the license plate of John G. or of the killer, and it's a full California specific license plate. It's like SG1U7IU.
That sounds exactly right.
It is. And there, there's
sure
also
you
a
wrote it
scene
down.
in the movie. I didn't. And there's also a scene in the movie where the I, or it starts out as a 1, and then in another scene it changes to an I.
Oh.
And I think this is more of the unreliable narrator stuff.
I never
And
noticed
we don't
that.
know. There's also, when we are in Natalie's house and he picks up a picture of Natalie and Jimmy together. The first time we see that, Natalie is smiling and Jimmy doesn't have a mustache. The second time we see him pick that up, Natalie is stone cold, like she's not smiling, and Jimmy has his big handlebar mustache that he has in the actual scene where he appears.
You've watched this entirely too many times.
And this is all shit that I like. As soon as you suggest this movie, I was fucking pumped.
This
So, anyway.
this reminds me of like little nuggets from Vanilla Sky, which I would love to get into someday about Vanilla Sky. But
I've never seen that. So
Tom Cruise,
good. Oh, it's so
Penelope
good.
Cruz and Tom
Penelope
Cruise.
Cruz is
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cameron Diaz is
Cameron
in that
Diaz
too.
as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going off tangent here. But yeah, Natalie's a terrible person.
Yes.
Because she is 100% using him to
Yes.
try to get rid of Dodd. who is basically a drug dealer with her boyfriend.
Who for some reason is after her because her boyfriend Jimmy G has gone missing.
Yeah,
And
weird.
Leonard's also in town hunting down someone named John G or James G.
So the part that fucked me up, and I did myself an injustice in rewatching it. I hadn't seen this movie in at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And I did myself an injustice because of the way my schedule this week sucked for me, and
You split it.
I had to stop watching it and start it again, and it fucked my world. And
I bet.
you could tell because I haven't said anything in this damn episode. But so the one part when I started rewatching it, that's where I left off when Dodd gets into play.
God, I love that part.
They're driving, and Leonard's window is shattered, and then it's not shattered, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it was driving me nuts. And then I kind of remembered I want to get into my thoughts, but I want you to finish up your spiel there.
The spiel, when Jimmy says Natalie's a terrible fucking person, maybe arguably one of the worst people in this whole movie in terms of her outright manipulation of
Except the
of
hotel
Leonard.
clerk who keeps selling him.
He's honest about it. The hotel clerk
How
is
do we
rented
know
him
he's
2
honest?
rooms.
He's probably done it 20 times.
Yeah, Leonard even says that, well, at least you're honest about ripping me off.
Yeah. Because he doesn't remember he sold him 2 rooms basically at the hotel he's staying
2
at.
or 7.
Yeah. So because Natalie wants him to help with this Dodd thing, she even offers I'll pay you to kill him.
Yeah.
And he's like, who the fuck do you think I am? I'm not killing somebody for money. And she's just like, you know what? You're a freak. I'm going to fucking use you. And I'm going to enjoy it because I'm going to tell you to your face that I'm going to use you and you're never going to fucking remember it.
Yeah.
And she basically calls his wife a cunt and a whore and tells her all sorts of
he got
nasty
this
stuff.
disease because his whore wife had syphilis.
Yeah. And so he reacts and punches her in the face and gives her a black eye and cuts her lip, and she immediately is like, okay, I'll be back. Gets out, goes and sits. But Go ahead.
takes all the pins in the house.
Prior to that, right when she walked in, and that's how you know she was planning it the whole time. She grabs all the pens and notebooks in the house. Yeah,
she's
puts
just
them in her
talking to him
purse.
like normal. Okay, yeah, cool. This is just fine.
Yep.
A-okay here.
So he's desperately searching. He's like, okay, focus, get a pen, make a note, write this down,
and
write this
you
down.
can see the panic
focus.
and you
I love this moment.
Yeah, and it feels like when he's excited or really anxious, his memory is worse.
Right, and it's so accurate to if you can't
Being
you can't be
amped up.
calm
Yeah,
and
right.
focus and you're at home, you're trying to get something done, you're trying to remember the next task that you need to do. Okay, I'm doing this, and then you hear a loud noise, you hear a door slam, and you're like, oh fuck, what was that? And then it's gone. And that's exactly what happened. She
100%.
just sits out in her car and stares at him through the window menacingly.
And
just
this
fuck
menacing
you,
look, yeah.
I'm gonna use you. And he's desperately searching for this note, and then she just opens her car door and slams it, and he looks, and it's gone. And he has no fucking clue that he's the one who just punched her in the face.
Yeah.
And she comes back in stumbling, oh my God, Dodd beat the shit out of me. You got to help me. And he's like, okay, well, I'll go give him some bruises of his own. Tell him to get out of town, whatever.
But the great thing about this is the way that it's portrayed in the movie, because you see that scene first.
Yes.
You see her come in and she's all bloodied and everything. Oh, well,
shit. Oh, shit. She got her
she
ass
did get beat. And then you see the next scene.
The best part though in that scene is that she's right before the scene ends.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, yeah, I'll go meet this. You write down what Dodd looks like, where to find him, and I'll go find him. And he looks at his fist and shakes it fuck, my hand hurts. He doesn't say anything, but it's just a real quick, you punch something and it hurts. And he's like, whatever. And you go. So there's a moment for the audience, if you're paying attention, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why does his fist hurt? Did he do this shit? And then it's paid off immediately with oh, this dirty bitch.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I think it's probably right after that where the window thing that I was talking about with Dodd.
Yes.
And I love the moment where they're chasing after each other.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, why am I chasing this guy?
He wakes up
and he runs after him, and then he starts
what
shooting
am I
him.
doing?
He's
What am I doing?
He's
I'm running.
chasing me.
He wakes up and he goes, this is my favorite scene. So I have this written down in there. He goes, the scene opens with him mid-running through a trailer park, and Leonard, just because of his conditioning, goes, okay, so what am I doing? And he sees this other guy running, I'm chasing him. So he cuts through a set of trailers to get closer to him, and Dodd stops and levels his
shoots
gun
at-
and starts shooting at him. He goes,
Nope.
he's chasing me. And turns around, runs to his fucking car, and then he's like, he gets in his car, starts driving away, and instinctually checks his fucking notes, and he sees he has a note with Dodd that mates the description of the guy he just saw shoot at him, and it has a hotel room in like hotel room, and he's like, I'm gonna get you where you fucking live, motherfucker. Goes to the hotel, and he's all amped up, and he's like, okay, room number 9, and he like puts his credit card in the door lock, knocks, waits for somebody to come in front of the people, and then boots it and knocks that dude the fuck out, and then he realizes, oh, it's room number 6, and he had his note upside down, and just goes, sorry. Closes the door, goes and does the same thing.
One of the few moments of comic relief in the movie.
Does the same thing, gets into Dodd's apartment or Dodd's hotel room, and he's like, I need a weapon. And he picks up a bottle of booze, and he goes and sits in the bathroom, and he's sitting there waiting to bean this dude in the head with this bottle of booze. But the previous scene that we had seen before that is him just waking up, holding this bottle of booze, and him being like, I don't feel drunk.
I don't remember
feel
getting
drunk.
drunk.
He smells himself and he's like, "Oh fuck, I stink." And he
I
just
need a
gets
shower.
up, he
Starts
thinks he's in
taking a
his room,
shower.
just starts taking a fucking shower because he assumes he's in his room. And of course, that's when Dodd comes back, is when he's butt naked in his fucking bathroom.
Why isn't the shower the first place Dodd checks when he comes in the bathroom?
I always wonder this. Like, okay, so you go into your hotel room, you're gonna hear the shower going, and you're gonna go into that bathroom, and you're gonna hear and see that the shower is
and it's
going.
a glass door
Yeah.
that's into the it's
You're like
fogged, but
unless
still.
he's expecting some dude.
Yeah,
to be,
maybe he thought he had a chick still at the apartment or at the hotel, and
that's
he just
the
it was
only
fogged up or
explanation I
something.
can-
But-
I
I'm gonna
give.
be honest. I forgot you're in here. Yeah.
So then Leonard's like, oh fuck, and like immediately like gets out and just starts beating the shit
Yep,
out of
naked
Dodd,
beat down.
buck ass
Yep.
naked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will just say, if you haven't seen this movie, this sounds insane. And I know we've
Oh,
given you
for
given
sure.
you like direct plot points and more or less spoiled the entire crux of this movie for
Doesn't
you.
do it justice.
It does not do it justice, and it is still worth watching. Go watch this fucking movie. It is so good.
Yeah,
and it
it's
will
amazing.
fucking twist your head up.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So with that, I guess we'll just cut to the chase here.
Yeah.
Teddy is also known as Officer John Gamble, a John G. And it's discovered that in the end, Officer Gamble has been helping Leonard to track and kill the real John G.
And they did it a year prior.
Yeah, so and they did it, but Officer Gamble then uses Leonard's condition against him and has him become a killer by giving him false
Right.
clues that lead to
So they're-
Leonard killing guys.
Together, they're pretty much the Punisher.
Yeah, he turns
Yeah.
him into basically his personal assassin so that he can rip off drug dealers and kill them and take their money.
Yeah, and then Leonard, confronts him about this, and he's like, well, we split the money 50-50.
Yeah, it's going to give you half.
I was going to give you half, but yeah, so Leonard is pretty much upset about this revelation and using this condition against him. But, I mean, throughout the whole thing, Teddy's been calling him Lenny, and he hates being called Lenny.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like one of those like little stabs too, like, well, fuck you, Lenny. Or fuck you, Teddy, for calling me Lenny. But anyway, so he uses his own memory. Leonard uses his own memory against him and condition to paint Teddy as the real John G.
Right. So when we see that he has the license plate of the killer tattooed on his leg, that's actually Teddy's license plate.
Yeah.
we come
Yeah,
to
so
find.
that's the number that he gave to Natalie, that
Yes.
license plate, and then so she ran the plate number and she gave it to him. So she did end up helping him. So that's part of like the compassion that I kind of feel for her, like because you see like he spends the night with her.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of compassion, but she's still a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then we come right back to the beginning of the movie where Leonard ends up killing Teddy because he reads his notes and he
Right.
says, "Oh, everything
And-
adds up here. You're
And the initial person that when Teddy reveals like, hey, I've been using you, and I had this guy show up here with $200,000. I told him it was a big load of amphetamines he was going to buy, and I had you kill him because you killed the right John G a year ago.
Yeah.
And you don't fucking remember. I thought for sure you'd remember.
Yeah, you were
I thought
so
something would be
happy.
different. You were so happy, and then you forgot.
and you're like,
we
I thought I was gonna stick. I thought I was gonna stick, but it just didn't.
But it didn't. And he shows him a picture of he's like, this is a picture I took of you, like
right after
you fucking did it. And it's
And he's
Leonard
pointing at his
shirtless
heart.
and bloody, and
Yeah.
he's pointing at a blank space in his tattoos right over his heart. And this actually comes up in some of the black and white scenes earlier when we find out that Teddy is the one that he was on the phone with the whole time when he's telling the Sammy Jenkins story. But he realizes that that Teddy's been using him, and that and the drug dealer, that's what I was getting to. The drug dealer that he killed, who he thought was the real John G, that Teddy had manipulated him into killing, is actually Natalie's boyfriend.
Right.
So the reason he gets in touch with Natalie is because after he kills Jimmy, he, for whatever reason, he steals his clothes and steals his car. And this car has $200,000 in the trunk, and Leonard just like, he doesn't give a fuck about money necessarily. He's just like, okay, and takes it, and he takes Teddy's keys and fucking yeets him into a bush and is like, fuck you. And he does this whole, I'm going to kill Teddy eventually thing by leading him down this path. But he, because of his condition, he doesn't know how long that's going to take either. Like, he doesn't know how long it will take him to discover these things.
But part of that is as he's dragging Jimmy down the steps into the basement, which leads him to Natalie, is with his dying breath, Jimmy says,
oh, yeah.
Remember Sammy Jenkins.
He says Sammy.
Just says Sammy.
And
he's
just remember
like,
says Sammy.
Well, fuck. How does he know Sammy? I wouldn't tell. I've never met this guy. Like, why would he know about Sammy? He checks his fucking pockets. He checks his notes, whatever. But so when he switches clothes with Jimmy, he puts on his nice suit and he takes his Jaguar and he transfers all of his notes into Jimmy's pockets. But he doesn't empty Jimmy's pockets. Mm-hmm. And so he finds in Jimmy's pocket a note that says, come by after Natalie. And it's on the back of a coaster for Ferdy's Bar, which is where she works.
It's also that last wrap-up scene. That's the first time you see him in anything other than Jimmy's clothes.
Or shirtless. But he shows up, so he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to go meet this Natalie chick, and he should not trust it because it's not in his handwriting, but I think he trusts it because it's from a note from someone else, which again is the fallibility of his whole system.
Right,
here. Like, you can't have a note from somebody else and just trust it because you're trusting anybody's handwriting. It could be for any purpose. But so he shows up in Natalie's boyfriend's car and clothes at the bar she works at. And she sees the car rolling up as she's taking out the trash. She's like, oh, hey, Jimmy.
I was expecting
thought
somebody.
You were somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah.
And for her, what she knows is that her boyfriend, drug dealer Jimmy, just took $200,000 to go meet with a guy named Teddy and never came back. And this guy showed up in his fucking car in his fucking clothes.
Yeah.
And
like, how much of a mind fuck would that be? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why she becomes involved in his whole shtick, is because she knows, okay, well, I can use you to get revenge on Teddy and to keep Dodd and his people off my back because they're going to want to know where this money or this dope went. And I never noticed this. I saw this in a breakdown of this movie, but from that moment on, because the money is in that Jaguar.
I was going to say, did she take it?
No, Teddy is constantly trying to get the car from Leonard.
Right.
Yeah. He is constantly trying to get the keys to the car. And he, like, when he meets him in the tattoo parlor, he's like, we got to get you out of here.
Park in the back.
There's a crooked cop after you, and he's got, he's out looking for you. I got to get you a new identity, some new clothes. Fuck, a new car would be good at least. Let's just do that. Like he's always trying to get the car from him because he wants the fucking $200,000.
First time you meet him too, like he meets him in the foyer of the hotel.
Yeah,
or
he tries to trick
lobby.
him.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, hey, here's your car." And then Leonard pulls out a picture and it says "my car," and he's like, "Yeah, nice try."
Yeah.
Like,
okay, I was just having some fun. But the whole point is he's trying to get that Jaguar away from Leonard because he wants the $200,000.
Well, I always framed it as, well, it's
also evidence.
Evidence in a murder. So he's trying, as a cop, he's trying to get rid of that because it's gonna ruin his whole shtick with Leonard, and B, it's got his money in it. Yeah.
But there's another, and that's pretty much the crux of the movie.
Yeah.
But there's another great reveal in this where he's on the phone during the chronological scenes, and he's giving himself a tattoo while he's doing this, but he also has another tattoo that's like healing, and he keeps itching at it. It's covered up. Yeah, it's covered up, and he keeps itching at it, and he finally decides to check if it's healed while he's on the phone, and he finally slowly peels it off, and he looks down, and it says, "Never answer the phone," and he's like, who is this? And then they immediately hang up on him.
Yeah.
And that was another part that I really liked about this movie is he keeps telling people, sorry, I'm not so good on the phone. I like to talk to people face to face. I do better face to face. But then you keep cutting back to these scenes where he's on the phone and you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Why are you
this
on the
is
phone?
not good. Like
Who the fuck are you talking
There's so much
to?
anxiety and tension in that where I'm like, fuck, what is going on?
Well, that's why it added to me too, especially when he's not interacting in the conversation.
Right.
That he's leaving himself a message.
Yeah.
I thought this was just another like fail-safe of him trying to leave himself notes. But then again, once you get about the halfway point,
he starts clearly having a conversation.
Yeah. But so let's
should we do our quotes and characters and scenes or rating?
I suppose this one's gonna be tough for me to do. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. My favorite character is Leonard Shelby. That's hard to change. Like, I also really like Teddy though.
I like Joey Pants. Yeah,
Joe
really
Pantoliano is really good in this. Like,
Guy Pearce was kind of a relative unknown.
Yeah, he was pretty unfamous at the time,
but fucking phenomenal. Like,
he did an amazing job. Australian actor, doing amazing stuff.
And
I played a Marine in Rules of Engagement.
Yeah, I became a big fan of him after this movie and tried to really like all of his stuff and watch it. But he really hasn't. He's done other stuff. Don't get me wrong, but he's never really become like a leading man type thing. Like,
he's got some nerd cred though. Yeah. He's Iron Man 3.
Yep.
So
Killian Aldrich.
Aldrich Killian.
Yeah, Aldrich Killian. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. I was thinking Cillian Murphy there. So
he's a stage actor.
Yeah.
I didn't write down a favorite character because I assumed they would just be Leonard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to argue. Like I said, this one's kind of
there's
outside
not a
of our normal
huge list of characters anyway.
It is a really narrow,
small
very
cast.
small.
Yeah. Even the background characters. Speaking of, is the tattoo artist at the end? Is that the dildo bathtub grandma from Smoking
I think
Aces?
It is, actually.
I think
pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I think I didn't look it up, but damn,
my headcanon is now yes, it is.
Dildo grandma.
I'll believe that.
Bathtub grandma.
Yeah.
RoboCop here. I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah.
But I already talked about my favorite scene, which is the chase. Like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I'm chasing him. He's chasing me.
Mine's probably the ending, the reveal, where he finally wraps it up.
That's a huge head fuck.
Yeah, it is.
I'll be honest with you, and like I said, because of the way this week shaped up, I did myself an injustice in rewatching this, and I had to stop it a couple of times, but hadn't seen the movie in at least 20 years, probably longer. But as confusing as the bulk of the movie was because of me stopping and starting it, the twist at the end was still
good,
as impactful the first time. And I would love to go back in time and have a conversation with myself of what I thought with it after the first time I saw it, because I knew how it turned out. I still remember that part of
the whole thing.
But because I was so confused from the movie's fucking confusing anyways, but then I, didn't remember exactly what had happened when I started rewatching it. It screwed with me. That the ending paid off still for me. So,
and that is a testament to how Nolan structures this movie.
I agree.
And how it truly, and I already said this, but truly puts you in Leonard's shoes from the whole time. Like, it just takes you through his unreliable memory and how he's confused in every moment, and we can only get to, like, every time we see a new scene, we're like, I don't even necessarily remember the exact scene before that.
Exactly. Now split that across a day or so, it really fucked me. And I had zero sleep the last 2 days.
I guess maybe instead of doing a favorite character, favorite quote, all that stuff, like, I have those things written down, but what if I just ask you guys this and we'll just go from here? Do you guys think Leonard really killed his wife, and that Sammy was a lie, or do you think that Teddy was lying to him in that moment and continuing to try and manipulate him then and there?
I've always held the belief that that was just Teddy trying to continue the manipulation, saying whatever he had to, be like, this is how fucked you up you are. You can't even remember this. How can you remember that I'm the guy?
Yeah.
Like, you can't believe this.
Right.
I could make an argument either way. I think I want to believe that Teddy actually felt something for this guy and felt bad for him, and then had this total piece of shit that he could wrap up.
Yeah.
And he's like, wonder if this will work, and did it, and then didn't get the desired outcome that he thought he would get.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what, I can use this to my advantage.
Yeah,
and
I think that's like, I like to think that Leonard was the victim and that he did get to kill the real John G, which I don't think is necessarily
Okay, yeah, because that's one of my follow-ups is, did he really kill John G? But
I think he
did.
We'll get
I think he did. But
did.
I think that like my personal like desire is that like, no, Leonard didn't kill his wife, because that's sad. I don't want Leonard to have killed his wife after everything, all the horrible things that would have happened to them beforehand. Because like the accident still happened, like she still got raped and assaulted, and he still got his head bashed in, and they still had this terrible thing. Like for him to then kill her because of his condition, and then like potentially, I guess, escape from the asylum because
you have to explain that.
Yeah,
like it's unfortunate, or to have Teddy take him on this mission of revenge and then let him out into the world and use him. Like I don't like that. But to play devil's advocate, like it's super possible that there's no reason for Teddy to lie to him in that moment. Like there's no reason for him to ever lie to him, because all he has to do is wait 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guess on the other side of that, though, is that Leonard is clearly very unpredictable. And when he tells him that he's a John G, which clearly he's never mentioned before, because it probably would have triggered something in Leonard then, when he finally is like, fuck, man, there's thousands of John G's out there. Fuck, I'm a John G.
Yeah.
He's like, your name's Teddy. And he's like, no, that's what my mom used to call me when I was a kid. My name is John Edward Gamble, John G.
I think it's interesting that what he tattoos versus what he only takes pictures of. And I understand, like some things have to be visual, but like the notes, again, that was my fact number 7 for the movie, was take better notes.
Take better notes.
So like put a tattoo on like photo number whatever, or some kind of system that you would know is like, this is he
has more tattoos. One that like is upside down, so if he looks down at his chest, he can see it, that says like photographs, car, hotel, whatever. So he knows like, okay, these are the things I need to always have current photographs of, because these are like changing, but also important to keep track of. But it just shows the frailty of his whole system, and ultimately of human beings and our memory and our belief that we can control situations.
Also, like a parallel to this movie being made in 2000 or whereabouts, and now if he did all this stuff on his phone as opposed to
now
Polaroid, and you lose your phone, you're fucked.
Yeah,
no.
You're back to the drawing board.
You change your passcode. Oh god.
Or Teddy just flips a new phone out every time he comes
exactly.
in.
That would be the hardest part. Would be because he'd still have to have
What's
a
my
Polaroid
phone?
Of the phone, but you could never all phones look the same, so you could even take the case out and put a new phone in, and it'd just be like, oh, this is my phone. It has nothing in it except Teddy's phone number. Weird. Like
I'd be interested to see if you could do a remake of that.
I don't
think it's as powerful.
It's interesting to think about.
I don't think the Polaroids.
This is the perfect era
especially
for
what
that movie.
you talked about at the beginning.
Where he's shaking
it out.
Yeah, it doesn't work when he's shaking an iPhone.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what a fucking Polaroid is these days. Even so.
No.
Even when that Hey Ya song that we were just laughing about came out, like that's not a current reference. So, but that's
Outcast. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So, how did you hear about this movie?
Jesus Christ. Well, I don't think either of you were born.
I was fucking fuck yourself.
That was I was in college. It was a popular movie, and everybody was talking about it.
I didn't see this movie when it came out. I saw this movie many years later.
You're fucking
I was
2.
11.
Yeah.
But
Jesus Christ. 11.
But I think my college roommate is what turned me onto that. I'm not 100% sure, but he's a big movie buff, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that turned me onto it.
Yeah. I probably rented it from Blockbuster. How about that?
Yeah, I like I said,
New
I bought the
release.
special edition of it, and it has a secret hidden feature where you can watch the
it
movie in
and-
chronological order on
mine
it.
Yeah.
So
I
Does
kinda
it, does it
wanna
make
do
more?
that.
Does it? How does it look watching it in chronological order?
It's been forever since I actually watched it, but from after watching it, the correct way or the way it was shown in theaters, and then watching it that way, I think it helps clear up
Oh,
just
sure.
any confusion in your
Oh, I
head
see.
of like, wait, was this scene just here? Like you can really piece out the order of it. Because I remember for me personally, for whatever reason, when we first see the photo of Leonard pointing to his chest after he had just killed the real John G, it's the, even now I'm confused. It's when it gets slipped under the door to him, which is, I guess that's chronologically the first time he's seen it as well. But then we get to see it again. And what we see when the scenes meet, the black and white scenes meet with the color scenes, the black and white scene seamlessly transitions into a color scene. And then from then we're in the final scene and the movie ends.
So maybe this is an impossible question to ask, but like, because you're such a big fan of the movie, but I'm curious because the filmmaking itself of this movie, of this version, is so like groundbreaking and never been done before. And I don't know if it's been done since.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not like this, at least.
That just flat out A to B movie, is that just kind of
It's super simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's not. This
it's
isn't
fine.
a really complex
no, it's not, huh?
plot. It's a very
But
straightforward.
when you cut it all up and then weave it all together,
yeah, it's a very straightforward mystery. But when someone like Leonard tries to look at it, which is how we look at it, it's fucked. It's super difficult to track, and it just demonstrates how his everyday life would be so difficult.
So I'll get out there and like I said, I did an injustice myself, but I didn't have a choice. It's just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
I remember loving the movie when it came out. The rewatch wasn't as good for me, but I won't say the rewatch wasn't as good. The twist was every bit as powerful as I remember it being the first time around.
Yeah.
But because I split it up, the start to the finish, like to that last twist, was kind of agonizing for me and super confusing, like more confusing than it was supposed to be. So it wasn't as enjoyable on the rewatch because of that reason. And again, I did that to myself. So let's get into the imaginary made up rating system.
Oh yeah.
What
All
do
right.
we
You got
got? This is your
My
pick.
rating scale is 10 out of 10 F-bombs dropped by Carrie Ann Moss in a 30-second period.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
Do you want to go so I don't steal yours?
All right. So back in the day on IMDb, I put it as a 7 out of 10.
Oh,
You're wrong.
so
Hey,
wrong.
you need to know that's very high for me.
Okay.
The 9 and 10 slots are very, very, very few. 8,
Okay.
pretty low too.
So Big Trouble in
So
Little
this is
China.
a-
That's your
this is
10
a
out of 10.
6 out of 10.
It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's probably 9. But so in the modern system that I've come up, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3.
66%.
What are we talking? Who are you?
I said it's a 66%.
Oh, he's
who are
doing
you?
a thing.
Oh, you're doing a thing.
Oh, you see? I did the thing.
Great job. Mine's 7 out of 7 tattooed facts.
Nice.
Ooh,
So-
nice.
Nice.
Is it 7? I thought it was 6. I thought he ended at 6. Did he end at
That's
7?
The seventh one is the one he's tattooing on
So
his
the
leg.
Yeah.
eighth is take better notes. That's
Sure.
That's
yeah.
mine. Yeah.
I think
The irony.
I
Yeah.
think I could be wrong now that I say that I'm
that
doubting
is
myself.
pretty honor.
My
Cue Alanis.
my favorite quote though, I got to bring it up, is I don't think they let someone like me carry a
yeah,
gun.
I do love that
yeah,
moment.
and Teddy's like, I fucking hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just Guy Pearce's delivery of that and
Yeah.
Joe Pantoliano reacting. It was pretty great. My the favorite quote I had written down is, because I just really love this revelation, and it's something like I said, like you see in my job. Like when I looked into his eyes, I thought I saw recognition. Now I know you fake it. if you think you're supposed to recognize somebody, you just pretend. You bluff it to get a pat on the head from the doctors. You bluff it to seem like less of a freak. And I think there's a real moment of honesty there that he's not even aware that he's giving up to whoever he's on the phone with. That it's just like, I'm a freak. Like I'm fucked up. I have no control over any of this. I'm faking it till I make it. And I think that's like, it tells you the story of the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
If you're paying attention, like it's a good one. Or Test This, You Fucking Quack from Sammy. I really like that one.
Last thing, or last couple of things here I got. Forgot to tell you guys or mention here, but I saw it in 2000. Or I didn't see it in 2000.
Wait
a minute, I'm confused. You saw it or you didn't see it?
I'm going to start over.
Well, it came out at the Venice Film Festival in 2000, so unless you were there...
I wasn't there, but I rented it from Blockbuster in 2000.
Yeah, so it did come out in 2000 when I was just a wee little freshman in high school. I didn't find out about the film in 2006 when I was working at a movie store, and a local college buddy of mine recommended it, and then I would just have it on repeat at the movie store all the time, and that was like, people would come in like, hey, what should I watch? Memento. Fucking watch Memento.
That movie.
Yeah. That one and Crash.
For a long
Crash
time,
was really
Crash
good.
is a good movie. For a long time, this was the movie that I would constantly be pimping to people.
Oh, yeah.
And then for whatever reason, I stopped watching it, probably because eventually it kind of takes its toll on you. Like it's not like a it's not. I rewatched it a lot, but it's not necessarily like a super rewatchable movie.
That was my whole point. Like, but the I will say the twist held the test of time. Like,
I still think
powerful.
Because of the way that it's set up and the way that the story is told with this contrasting scenes moving forward and backwards in time, like I think there's still something every time you get it that you're gonna notice, or that like it lends itself to you not knowing where it's going.
Right.
Even if you know, you're like questioning yourself.
But again, you got to put this under the category of you got to buckle in and pay attention to what's going on.
If
you think you're going to play on your phone, like that wasn't a thing when I watched this movie. And that's probably why I was able to follow it a little bit better then. Yeah. But, I'm trying to, a lot of times when we review these, I'm trying to get other shit done at the same time. And this is not one that you can do that on. Yep. So if you want to turn your brain off, don't go this route, but if you want to really engage with something, this is great
This was
movie.
nice for me because that's what, like, I sat down and watched this with my wife. She'd never seen it, and it was nice to just, I didn't want.
She was -2 when it came out.
Didn't want to check. I didn't want to check my phone. I knew that, like, okay, I need to lock onto this movie and really pay attention, and so I enjoyed. Doing that.
What did she think of it? Did she like it?
She liked it, and her thought was that he did kill his wife, and that he was Sammy, essentially, in that story that he's telling himself is just to soothe his ache from killing his wife, which makes it so much sadder and
that is
harder to swallow.
That is such a tragic way to frame that. All right, well, hey, that's our review and breakdown of Memento. Strongly suggest you guys go watch it, even though we've just spoiled it now.
Sorry,
but our review doesn't do it justice. It is such an amazing film.
It really does. If you're confused by the review, you'll be equally as confused
just as confused. Yeah,
we should have interjected a thing at the beginning that it's okay to not listen to this episode until you've watched the movie, but go watch the movie. And if you were kind enough to listen to this and get all the way through it, even though you haven't seen this movie, go watch the movie.
Go fucking
so you
watch
can
the
actually
movie.
be entertained and know what's going on.
I'll be,
and then maybe listen again. I don't know.
I'll be interested to listen to this and be like, people are gonna have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you'll be.
I already
so
felt
lost.
several moments of panic about how are we gonna recap this?
I sat down to like type out my notes, and I'm like, where do I begin?
Yeah.
I guess
do I just like
every story begin at the ending. Yeah.
Do I just scene for scene recap the movie? Fuck, that's gonna be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it.
I gotta watch the movie again.
Yeah, hour and 55.
Just under 2 hours. Yeah.
Sit down and take the time to watch it in one sitting. Don't split it up or
Do
you
not
fuck
split
yourself.
it up. Yeah. All right. We moving
on to the next. Yeah.
Mail callback.
Wrap it up.
Milk kill. Milk kill. Milk kill.
All right, this is our mailbag. This is where you, the viewer, you get to listener. Yeah. I'm gonna keep doing that. You get to write in and you get to ask us questions, and we'll try our best to bullshit our way through it and give you an answer that probably gives it no justice at all. So first one out of the bag, we have from repeat questionnaire here submitter. What do we call it?
Friend of the show.
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're all friends.
From Viking11, he says, "What is the absolute worst movie you have ever seen?"
The Flash.
For me, it's The Last Airbender, based on Avatar, The Last Airbender. Good show, but M. Night Shyamalan basically shit on it, changing the lore and character's name when it was established in the show, kind of like how Michael Bay was going to make the Turtles aliens instead of mutants. Okay. Yeah, so what is the absolute worst movie you have ever seen?
The Room.
I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of really bad ones. I'm trying to think of a better answer than The Flash, but what a steaming pile of dog shit. And I paid for it too. It's not like it was free. So
Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes, which we've learned to trust implicitly.
oh yeah, they're legit.
They have a top 100 or something list. Yeah, worst movies of all time, and number one is a movie that I quite enjoyed as a child. It's just a bullshit action movie called Ballistic: X vs. Sever, which stars Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu.
All the Beyonces and Lucy Liu. There's another callback. How about that? No?
Basically, fucking assassins who have to kill each other or something. It says a startlingly inept film. One missed call, Left Behind with Nick Cage, 1,000 Words with Eddie Gotti with John Travolta.
Speaking of John Travolta, Battlefield Earth.
I don't think I've ever seen that all the way
That
through.
was a terrible movie. Absolutely dog. Okay, this might come as a surprise. Probably not though. But Batman and Robin.
No, that's not one of the worst.
Oh,
movies of all time.
the Flash is infinitely worse than that movie.
I remember when it came out, I
Infinitely.
enjoyed the movie because I was like in 6th or 7th grade or
And
something like.
global warming. Stop
But-
global cooling.
But then I went back
that the right
through and
one?
rewatched it a couple of years ago, and it was just
I didn't
terrible.
say it was good. The Flash is worse.
Like there were moments like where you could see like it was like clearly done in reverse. Like there's a scene where like Chris O'Donnell's head gets dunked.
oh yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, just terrible.
It's not a great movie, but it's
TMNT 3, terrible movie.
nah. Still,
Yeah,
I mean, bad, yes,
Flash
but
is worse. I really want a better answer than what I got right now, but
I think there's probably some like more recent like Steven Seagal movies that are probably some of the worst of all time. There's a guy on YouTube. I gotta figure out what his name is real quick. That does like recaps of Steven Seagal movies, kind of in the vein of like Cinema Sins, but it's all directed at Steven Seagal movies, and they are I haven't watched most of these, but they are the fucking worst. The guy's name on YouTube is Space Ice, just like two normally spelled words, Space Ice. But like some of his videos are like, Steven Seagal movie Driven to Kill is so bad your mother will hate you. Steven Seagal's code of honor is an incoherent mess. And
these are all like older, bloated Steven Seagal.
yes, these are when
movies,
Steven
too.
Seagal, one of the ongoing tropes is that Steven Seagal won't get up out of a chair to fight people. So he's literally sitting in like a chair that we're sitting in, like a fucking computer chair, just slap fighting fucking people, and it's fucking
Give me $1 million.
wild. Yeah, exactly. Or he has his much thinner and much more in shape stunt double, just like walking like in camera.
See,
like,
that would entertain me, though.
Clear as day. Yeah, but I'm just talking about, if we're talking about like objectively bad movies, there's some fucking terrible ones that he's done. So that's a
Yeah.
good question though.
I really wish I could come up with a more epic answer, but
Someday I'll have to watch that Avatar movie. I really love the series, so I'd like to see how bad that.
I know
one
my
is, but
son
also-
loves that movie.
Oof.
So
I've heard the Dragon Ball movie is up there in terms of at least
I can only
adaptations
imagine, yeah.
being absolutely fucking terrible.
I hated Titanic.
Oh, okay.
Was that?
No, it's one of
Yeah.
the highest grossing movies of all
I don't
time.
care.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
are
I'm just saying.
stupid.
I didn't like
so-
Titanic either. The whole thing just sunk.
Yeah. 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 All right. I guess should we wrap it up with this one?
Yeah, we
Dad
got one
joke.
more.
Yeah.
This is clearly from a civilian. When are Silky's hikes too short? Oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I read that wrong.
Get your readers.
When are Silkies too short? Or is that even a thing? Are Silkies appropriate for any occasion? Or is there a certain Silky season? Well, if you're not familiar with Silkies, that's a term of endearment from the Marine Corps because I believe it's something different in the Army.
Ranger panties?
Yeah, Ranger panties. But to be fair, until I started hanging out with Marines regularly a couple of years ago,
Like when you married one?
well, no, even before that, maybe about 10 years ago now, I had never heard the term Silkies.
Like I said, that's a Marine Corps term.
Yeah, I'd never really heard that. So people would say, Silky's hike, Silky's hike. I'm like, what the fuck is a Silky's hike?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what Silkies are, we were forced to wear these PT shorts or physical training shorts. The first taste you get is in boot camp, and the drill instructors wear them every time we do PT. But the first taste you get is the day you graduate or the day before you graduate. You go on this moto run, this motivational run right before graduation, and you wear these. They're like marathon runner shorts, so they're very little material. Often feel like silk. I doubt that they're actually 100% silk, but your balls are pretty much hanging out the bottom. So, and simultaneously your ass hangs out too. So,
Yeah.
very revealing. Can they be too short? I would describe a pair of silky shorts as like a baggy thong, if that helps you at all.
Yeah.
That-
There you go.
I think that's an accurate description. Yeah.
So, I mean, ideally, you probably don't want to rock them. I don't know.
At a wedding?
We're from the Midwest, so I mean, 60s, depending on the time of year, could actually be quite warm.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think you go sub that, it's you're getting into dangerous territory where things may never retract from your torso. So, I think they're a thong would be too short of a silky for me. You got to leave something to the imagination. I think.
The closest I can equate that is to the Army with RPT shorts, and ours are short, but they don't get as short as the Marine Corps.
Maybe our balls are just bigger. Maybe that's just it.
Yeah,
could be.
so I didn't like wearing them in February when I would be out and doing PT during basic training and all that jazz. Yeah, so no, I definitely think there's a limit on how short they should
I
be.
will say that like standard PT shorts are not even in the same realm as silkies, and I hated wearing them when I was forced to while I was in. But again, it's one of those things that have become like a beloved memory of the
Yeah.
past that we've embraced, and now we wear them with pride in probably the most inappropriate of settings.
Yeah.
But
in public sometimes even.
my favorite one was I went to a Silkies hike. I want to say it was 2021, and our rally point before we kicked off the hike was across the street from a place that was having a high school graduation at the same time. So we got a lot of looks, but
Yeah.
again, I love them, and my kids are terrified of them, and I know if I want to convince
I've seen you
them-
in them far too many times.
That's
I'll just
true,
say that.
and it's probably only been maybe twice. But
More than that. Every once in a
Yeah.
while you get drunk, you start sending me pictures of you and them. It's
Oh
weird.
yeah, that's pretty regular.
That's
That
not a
actually-
joke, everyone.
That's a weird relationship you two have.
yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't have to be drunk to. I'm very
true.
very comfortable in
True.
my silkies and wear them with
Yeah.
pride. So that's way more than you ever wanted to know about my testicles. But
Yeah,
now
and he's old as fuck, so they hang
they
out.
hang
like, they're-
low. I gotta like
Yeah.
staple those
Do your
bad
balls
boys up
hang
in
low?
there. So. Thank you for asking a question about my testicles. I appreciate that. Anything else? Is that it?
Nope.
I don't know how we're gonna top that.
That's the
No,
end of the
I
mailbag.
think we've worn out our welcome here.
So safety brief. Anything? Anybody got anything?
I think we mentioned that the One Piece show is
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
blowing up, so I might
Okay.
give that a shot. Maybe watch the first couple episodes, see if I can get into it or not. But it's, like I said, it's based on the best-selling graphic novel or manga of all time, so maybe it's got something I'll be.
I'll give it.
interested in.
I'll give it a shot. I don't know how interested I am.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've got the Minnesota Renaissance Festival coming up. Wife and I are
Ren
going to
Fair,
go.
huh?
Yeah, we're going to go up there, check it out. I think it's the number 5 in the nation for
Eat some
size.
giant turkey legs.
turkey legs.
Probably do that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we've got some things scheduled. Maybe we'll see some of the knights fighting and stuff. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool. But yeah, that's what I
I
got
haven't
coming
been
up.
to a Ren Fair in forever.
I don't know if I've ever
since I was
been
a
to one. To
kid.
be honest with you, it's almost pumpkin spice and Ugg boot
Oh, it's
season.
pumpkin spice.
Oh,
So,
it is. It is officially that time. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna continue to torture myself by watching football and
Oh yeah, go Colts.
question. I didn't say that. Question
Yeah,
my
I did that.
existence
Yeah.
moving forward, but I don't know. Probably go play some Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. You guys
Yeah.
got to try that.
More God of War.
Well,
try and get
hurry
through
up
that.
and finish
Yeah.
that, and then play. Again.
Diablo 4.
So that's it. Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody. Again, one last time, please be sure to check out our socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us at Geek BN Vets. That's Geek Bravo November Vets. You can also email us if you'd like to send your questions in at Geek Battalion Vets. That's all spelled out. geekbattalionvets@gmail.com. I've been Jimmy.
I'm still B.
And I'm Duncan.
We'll see you on the next one. Geek Battalion out.